Welcome to the COMC Community Spotlight Show. It's brought to you, of course, by the great folks at Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission. And we've got our friends Cara Gerdiman and Sheree Keely back. They are the executive directors of Kids Harbor and CADV, Citizens Against Domestic Violence. It's always something we like to kind of remind people about because your organizations are so important, helping out people in our community, whether they're kids or they're adults or whatever. And you have got some important fundraising things coming up in October. You've got your annual luncheon on the 22nd, I think.
Yes, October 22nd, the CADV brunch. It'll be at Regalia again this year.
Okay.
And starts at 11, goes till 1. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, a lot of food, too.
Oh, great food. It's all local restaurants that donate their food for the event. So it's just a lot of fun.
That's one of the
reasons. And
reasons.
this year, the theme is sock hop.
Sock hop? Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And that's what everybody has a lot of fun with.
That brings back bad memories for me. I never had a date to the sock hop, right? So, okay. So, yeah, that's good stuff. And anybody can get a ticket to that, is that
Absolutely.
right? Okay.
Absolutely. They just go to our website at cadv-voc.org and they can find their way to our to the page where you can donate or get your tickets.
Cool. And you're big fundraisers in the spring. You've got a big barbecue bash in April.
Absolutely.
You're going to do that again next April?
Yep. It's always the last Saturday in April
for
Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we hold our barbecue bash, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of great food and great music as well.
Notice how they tie in food to this fundraising. We love food. People love food. Okay, so let's just get back to the basics on child abuse and domestic violence. What is child abuse? What, you hear that term thrown around, but what does that entail? What does that mean?
So child abuse is the physical, sexual, or emotional maltreatment of children. Most of the time it's by someone that they know, love, and trust.
Yeah.
And, injuries or sexual abuse of those kids and just living in conditions that kids shouldn't have to live in.
Yeah, absolutely. How about, domestic violence? What is that? What does that entail?
That's a really interesting question because domestic violence is hard to describe.
Yeah.
People are often confused by it. And so several victims came together with a coalition and they developed a tool called the Power and Control Wheel. And that it's a great visual to describe what domestic violence is. But essentially, in domestic violence, the offender, the perpetrator, is trying to control. They use whatever tactics they need with that particular victim to keep control of them. So it can be physical sexual abuse, but many times it's even more than that. It's emotional abuse. It's the degrading, intimidation, coercion. One victim told me that he would call her when he was on his way home from work and say, you better not be there when I get home or you'll find out what happens. And it terrified her. So she would leave. And then he would, of course, when she didn't come right back, then he was, where are you at? You need to get here, that kind of stuff. So, the emotional abuse, the psychological, all these tactics, yet to the outside person, when we're looking at it, it's like, okay, well, he didn't talk that nice to you, but, she knows. And I'm saying she because most of the victims we serve are women.
Right.
But men do experience domestic violence as well, and we actually provide services for male victims as well. But the victims know that the antics and the tactics that the abusers use.
And usually, I'm supposing, the abusers know they're abusers and are usually pretty good at covering it up, whether it's children or adults.
Well, and as Sheree was talking, one of the things that really came to the top of my mind is the grooming and the manipulation by an abuser for both kids and adults. They're not just grooming and manipulating the child or adults. They're grooming and manipulating all of us around in the community that they couldn't possibly be doing these things because, look, they're these fine, upstanding citizens or, they have all of everything in place They would never hurt a child.
Right.
And they're just coming and helping provide childcare, or look, they're helping the family get food or any number of things. And so there's really this manipulation, coercion, like Sheree talked about,
Yeah.
that they really put things into place, even tearing down, boundaries that a child may have in place and breaking those down slowly to allow the abuse to happen.
Right, and they call that grooming.
Absolutely.
And it's something I hadn't thought about, but it's 100% correct. They're not just grooming their victims, they groom the community around them not to see what is going on. That's fascinating. Are there forms of this abuse that are worse than others, that it's harder for the victims to overcome, like child abuse? Are there forms of that are more catastrophic for the kids?
That's a really difficult question to answer because, it all depends on the child and the severity. Certainly, we have seen increased severity of abuse throughout the years, and when things are going on either in the economy or in our community, or if there's job loss and things. But it's all so difficult to overcome.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the child's emotional and mental state, on where they are.
Yeah.
Certainly, sexual abuse is very, very difficult to work through, and it happens in such shame, and the child puts so much blame on themselves.
Yeah.
But even neglect and emotional abuse, those things are all. It's hard to say one is worse than the other.
It kind of depends upon the person.
Yes,
the kid.
absolutely.
Yeah, because personalities are all different. How about with victims of domestic violence? Are there some forms of that are more catastrophic for the victims, or is it kind of a personal thing too?
Well, I think the thing that's important to remember, that abuse in whatever form causes a wound, and it can heal, but there's a scar. It's there. And that's the part, if we can get ahead of abuse, if we can intervene before it happens, that's the best case scenario. And that's what our organizations are trying to get to. I think everybody individually have their own individual strengths of how they deal with a traumatic event in their life. And so, some victims, are more vulnerable and have more things that would impede their healing. Others are able to heal, a little bit quicker and have a little more inner strength. I think both our organizations, our advocates, become key in that journey because we're all about empowering them and because all of the messages they've gotten from their abusers is self-blame, blaming themselves that they did something to cause what happened. And so really our teams really help to undo that for them.
Wow.
And then obviously the counseling, getting involved in counseling becomes really important in their healing journey.
Yeah. So you can see why this is so important and why it makes a difference in people's lives, whether they're kids or adults. It's huge stuff. It's incredible. We'll continue to talk about this when we come back on the COMC Community Spotlight Show. Central Ozarks Medical Center, voted Missouri's best and best at the lake, is recruiting team members due to growth. Amazing employment opportunities for both medical and non-medical positions with competitive salaries and outstanding perks. For more information, go to the Careers tab at centralozarks.org. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Join a leader. Join our team. COMC, where your health is our mission. Welcome back to the COMC Community Spotlight Show, talking with our friends Cara Gerdiman, Sheree, Keely from Kids Harbor and CADV about overcoming child abuse, domestic violence, heavy stuff here. Can people, whether they're adults or kids, can they recover from abuse? Is it possible?
Absolutely. I think that's where community support, counseling and advocacy really comes into play to help build people back up and help them heal, to make sure that and help them find justice. And justice looks different for everyone. It may not be the same from one child to the next, but healing through counseling and advocacy and support, absolutely.
Okay, same thing with domestic violence, more adults.
Yes, absolutely.
You can heal from that.
Actually, our fundraiser that we do in October focuses, we share a client's journey.
Right.
And those are usually stories of hope, not always.
Yeah.
But I think last year's, she had been married for close to 50 years to an abusive person, and finally decided enough is enough. And she left and has found joy outside of that marriage, even though she had a lot of pride thinking, I've been married for almost 50 years, that's something to be proud of, but it was an abusive relationship. And so she's having a lot of fun now, and just not to say it was hard for her, it was a difficult process, but, and we have many stories like that, absolutely.
That is so important to hear, because one thing I've learned as I've gotten older, if you don't have hope, then where do you go? You're hopeless. And so if you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, if there are kids out there that don't think they can overcome this and heal from this, then they have no hope, and adults too. So that's a great message to have.
Absolutely, and seeing kids go through the process and coming into Kids Harbor for a forensic interview, and the first time that they may have been telling their story, and the courage that it takes, and then seeing them through the whole process and coming in weekly for counseling or advocacy services, and then graduating from our counseling program. It's such a fantastic sight to see, and to see their growth and the joy returning to them as they heal through that process.
That's kind of the maybe the biggest gift, the biggest payoff for you guys is to see that when that happens, whether it's the child or the adult. I mean, I know you have careers, you make livings, and we all need to get paid and stuff. That's nice, but more important than that is to see these victims overcome. Right. Really, I'm guessing, right? How cool is that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're the clock is ticking. Real quick though, what you do is so heavy and it's so hard. How do you not burn out, and how do you keep your staffs from burning out? Because this is heavy stuff, right? So first of all, how do you help your staff not to burn out?
I mean, I think we put things into place. That's part of our accreditation process, is that self-care for our staff and taking care of our staff. If you come in our office, you'll see that we have a room with a massage chair and a punching bag, and our staff often will go for a walk in the middle of the day, just to take a moment away from the heavy and be able to take a breath and step away and just have that
recalibrate.
Moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about with you and your staff?
It's the same thing. You talk about work-life balance. Most of the people that come into our field do it because they want to give back. They want to serve. Having a servant job is important to them. And so they know coming in so in their interview, we talk about, how do you take care of yourself? What does that look like? Because if you just go, and you're helping, then in 6 months you're done.
Yeah, you're out of gas.
And you're not effective, So it's, everybody has to find their own way. Like what works for me might not work for Cara, but you have to be intentional. And that's what I talk with Steph about a lot is, self-care, it doesn't happen on its own. You have to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
So how do you, take care of yourself? And our team, hopefully, we work in such a way that we support one another. When we start to notice that somebody's struggling, what are you doing to take care of yourself right now? Just having those loving conversations, really, for them to look at how to take care of them.
Okay, so we're out of time. But real quickly, if folks want to get more information on Kids Harbor, CADV, how do they find that?
KidsHarborMo.org is our website. You can go there and find out more information. Also follow us on social media or give us a call at 573-348-6886.
Okay, and CADV?
CADV-VOC.org is our website, and then they can call 573-346-9630 to get more information about anything that we're doing.
Thank you for joining us for the COMC Community Spotlight Show.